Hi everyone, Aiden here with etrailer. Today we're going to be taking a look at and showing you how to install these Glacier Chain twist link snow tire chains with cam tensioners on our 2023 Chevrolet Tahoe. So this is going to be a twist link chain. What that means is that the actual links that go across the tire are going to be twisted. This is going to make them a little less of a bumpy ride compared to a square link or a D-link that has hard edges. But that does also mean that this won't bite into deep ice as well, just because it's a bit smoother and less aggressive. So if you don't need anything for deep ice and you're just looking for snow traction, this could be a good way to go and not sacrifice too much on ride quality. It does have a ladder pattern style, so you can see all of the chains actually go perpendicularly across the tire. That will result in a somewhat bumpier ride, but it's going to give us good traction on starts and stops. The cams are built into the side of the chain here to allow for different adjustment points and tightening of the chain. I always like when a chain like this has cam tensioners, just because I feel like I can get such a better fit on the tire. And we still recommend using a rubber tensioner as well, but having the cams to get a good base really helps make sure that this is doing its job as a security measure rather than pulling out all the extra slack that we have. These are going to be a low carbon steel construction, so maybe not the most durable thing in the world. Low carbon steel is a bit of a softer metal, especially when you compare it to something like a manganese nickel alloy. A lot of the higher end chains will have that alloy and it'll be more corrosion resistant and durable over time. So if you plan on using these really regularly over a long period of time, I would maybe look into an option like that. Koenig has plenty of chains that are really easy to install and have that alloy that'll last a lot longer than this low carbon steel alternative. These do come with a bag for storage, although it's definitely not my favorite. This canvas type material does have a tendency to rip really easily, plus it's not going to be water resistant. So I would maybe recommend just picking up a plastic tote for storage, just because it's going to be a lot easier to keep them in there and it's going to be more durable, especially if you want to keep it in your vehicle so it's ready to go when you need it. Otherwise though, the installation process is fairly straightforward. With these chains, you do have to make some connections behind the tire, which is a little bit difficult, especially if you're draping it over the tire and you have to get on the ground behind it. There's very limited space to do so, but we'll walk you through that process right now. First part of the install is you want to lay out the chain and make sure that nothing's tangled up. Then we can go ahead and check for proper orientation. Coming to the cross sections where the twist link meets the outer chain, there's going to be a link right there that has a more hooked side, and if you flip it over, a more smooth side. We want the smooth side facing the tire. So for our method of installation today, we want that face down. And then we want the cams that we'll use to tighten this up on the outer side of the tire where they're going to be accessible. After that, you can grab the chain by the middle and carefully drape it over the tire. While you're doing this, just try to keep things centered up front to back as well as side to side. Now, if you're doing the method where you actually drive onto the chain, then you'll just lay it out and drive onto the middle of it. It's pretty hard for me to get back there, but the first connection at the back of the tire is going to be with this series of free links in my left hand and this hook in my right hand. You can bring these two ends together at whichever link fits your tire the best. That's why we recommend trying this out in your driveway once or twice to get a feel for it. I'm going to go for the end link to start, and then we'll move around front to make that same connection. Around front, we're doing the same thing. It looks like around here I can maybe get to a tighter link. Now, if I were doing this for real, I'd probably go back, tighten up the back one link just to make sure it's more even, which is why we recommend trying this out. So you know that before you go and make that first connection. Right there is looking pretty good for right now though. And you notice that the tire chain itself is pretty loose. That's where the cams are going to come in. Take your included tool with the kit, insert that into each of the cams, and give it a twist to lock it in and tighten it up. Already it's looking a lot better, so I'm just going to move on to the next cam and repeat that process until I've got a good snug fit on the tire. And after that third cam, things are looking pretty great. Now, I'm still going to add a rubber tensioner, sold separately. We always recommend having one though, just because it is an added layer of security with your tire chains to make sure that nothing is going to move or shift on you. And I'm going to apply this in a star-shaped pattern as evenly as I can around the tire chain. I always like to avoid sections that have cams whenever I'm hooking them up. So that can result in a somewhat uneven looking fit. But what this does is pull out any extra slack. You can see that particularly well down here where it is pulling that chain up quite a bit. And as we drive around, if things do shift, it'll help keep the tire chain on the tire nice and snug. At this point, repeat the process on the other side, drive forward a few times, and then come out and check on them. As you start to drive, things are probably going to settle in and maybe loosen up a bit. So you may need to come back to any of those cams, tighten them up for any final adjustments, and then you're ready to hit the road. And that'll do it for our look and installation of these Glacier Chain Twist Link Snow Tire Chains on the 2023 Chevrolet Tahoe. Thanks for watching.